I want to put out this video more about another angle on gun control that's coming up, and I'm going to give you a little bit better insight than some of the, I'll call them blatant retards that are just out here for profit on YouTube, and they give you fear-mongering information all the time. Now, this is a true story. What's going on is it's called the Doe Run Company. Doe, like as you know, bucks and does and deer, right? Doe. The Doe Run Company in Missouri. They're the last lead smelter in the United States. Now, I don't think they're the only suppliers of lead to, you know, the manufacturers of ammunition. Okay, so it's not like everything is gonna, all the ammunition in the world is not gonna dry up due to this closure. I want to put this story in, you know, really how it should be said, but there's something else sinister behind this, and more sinister behind than the EPA. You know, a lot of people are looking at the government, but there's other things going on behind the government that are our enemies, that are not the government. It's these big non-profit organizations. And this is really how it works. And this is something where, you know, somebody tells you this story about, you know, gun control and lead control and bullet control and to scare the crap out of people, man. But there's something actually very, very sinister going on behind the scenes, and I'll get to what that is and explain to you. I don't know exactly who funds this, though. Well, let me get on to this. The Doe Run Company was in Missouri. They've been in business since 1892, about, you know, 120 years. And now they're laying off all these people as of December because they cannot comply with these EPA regulations to, well, they can comply, but it's going to cost them 10 times as much to produce the lead. So they made a financial decision to, you know, get out of, you know, the lead producing business, I guess, the smelting business or some parts of the business. So that's the last lead smelter in the United States, okay? So they're getting out of that business. That doesn't mean all lead is not going to be able to be bought in the United States. It's just that it's not going to be able to be smelted unless it complies with the Clean Air Act, which is a it costs them major capital expenditure to comply with this act. Now, there's other things going on. I know, like just as a side note, the governor of California, Jerry Brown, signed into a law that banned lead ammunition for all hunting in California. You know, another freaking, well, he's another one puppet on a string that's owned by the, you know, the powers that be. Now, the powers that be really aren't the EPA. You know, this is where I'm going to get into something. There's a big I don't know what the hell, who's behind them financially, but they're called the Center for Biological Diversity. You can look them up, you know, centerforbiologicaldiversity.org. Non-profit. They're in all kinds of stuff. You know, they stop fracking and stuff like that. They, you know, they're on Facebook. But I don't know who the hell actually funds that operation. That I found very interesting. That's a major point. I don't know who funds him. It's like cleared from the web. I'm looking at my cat up here. He's on the shelf. He's I don't know where the hell he was. He's up here. Anyway, Putin the cat, you know, always watching out. But anyway, actually the Center of Biological Diversity has tried multiple times to get regulations at the federal level by trying and repeatedly failing to get the EPA to regulate conventional ammunition under the Toxic Substances Control Act. So actually, the EPA, with, you know, help from the gun advocates and you know, putting pressure on your House of Representatives and your Senate, is actually resisting the efforts of this Center for Biological Diversity. Now, there's a lot of useful idiots amongst the American population who are getting behind this damn thing. But what I found very interesting is, I don't know who's really funding them. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it on Google. I'm looking around, and I says, you know, that's interesting in itself, because I can't figure out who the hell gives to these guys. You know, gives them all this money. They're very powerful. They're powerful in the world, yet they're not in the news. But they're basically behind a lot of this stuff. You know, sustainability. How's that? You know what I mean? It's called depopulation and enslavement, right? So let's put things in, you know, get things crystal clear, if you want to put it that way, as a famous Richard Nixon used to say. But, you know, let me put it this way. They make it sound like the government is leaning on these companies, you know, like the Mafia does. First off, the government and the Mafia has got nothing in common. The Mafia is anti-government. You know, the Mafia came about due to oppressive government controls. The original ones. Not the ones that freaking keep saying they're Mafia. You know, they go on freaking entertainment and they think they're mob and they do all these dumb signs like, ooh. And it ain't mob. You know what I mean? The original Mafia was basically from Sicily, right? You know, which is halfway between Africa and Europe, right? And, you know, they got suppressed. And they're anti-government. So, like, you know, when they say the Mafia, you know, is like the government's acting like the Mafia, they're not. Actually, what's going on here, it's this Center for Biological Diversity that's leaning on the EPA. And this actually has been known that they knew this was going to be an issue since 2010 because of the Clean Air Act and the compliance with the Clean Air Act. They knew this was coming up for the last few years. See, but now it's like the company made a financial decision. You know, it's not economically feasible for us to try to produce lead in the United States and make money because you know, in other words, it's not like the whole lead market's going to go away. It's because they're facing competition from outside sources that don't have to comply with the Clean Air Act. So if they're making lead in other countries, smelting lead in other countries, we'll just buy it from there. And we could be buying it from Mexico or Canada for all I know. It doesn't have to be coming from China. You know what I mean? So, you know, who the hell knows anyway. But, you know, maybe they'll make bullets out of something else too. But, you know, that's the real danger of what's going on. So I don't want people like getting like, oh, the government's doing it. You know, actually it's these big non-profit organizations. There's big money behind these guys. And they're influencing the laws. They're influencing the government. There is big elite under the guise of philanthropy and doing humanity the best good in the world and stuff like that. And they get a bunch of idiots following around like, we're going to save the planet, you know. And meanwhile, what they're really looking to do is depopulate and control the morons, you know, that are buying into their bullshit. So, you know, I don't want to paint it that, you know, the government's actually doing this. But, you know, because the conspiracy theorists, you know, I mean, I know they put the thing out and it's true. They bought a lot of ammunition. The Department of Homeland Security bought a bunch of ammunition. Like they needed to control the population for the next 100-something years really bad because that's how much ammunition they got. But, and there is stuff going on. But where this is actually coming from is not directly from the government per se. That's the part people are seeing visibly. But the hidden hand that's behind it, it's not the Mafia, it's this philanthropy garbage, this non-profit stuff, this fake philanthropy garbage, I want to put it that way, that is acting like, you know, they're trying to do good for the humanity, they're trying to help save the earth, diversify, you know, biological diversity. You know what that means? Biological diversity means get rid of people. That's what that means, man. I want to put it real simple. And the Mafia is against that. The Mafia is against that. So, the real Mafia. I'll put it to you that way. Because, you know, I just got to put it in clear, you know, 101, the way it should be. You know, the government's not really all against you. Because if the government was all against you, the EPA would have already regulated all the ammunition under the Toxic Substance Control Act. I mean, and I know, you know, what's actually helping keeping the EPA more honest is that, you know, the people are putting pressure on the representatives. And, you know, we can all say, you know, the Congress is no good and stuff, but you know what? If the Congress is no good, well, I'm talking about mainly not just, you know, the Congress is the Senate and the House of Representatives. The real power is the House of Representatives, since where all the money's funded from, all the laws start, and you elect those people every 2 years. 2 years. So if they're no good, the real problem is it's the people are no good, and they're getting what the hell they elect. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So herein really lies the problem. We met the enemy, and it is us. Maybe not my audience, because they got more of a clear head, but in general, there's a hell of a lot of people in the United States that got their head in a hole like an ostrich, and there's shit going on, and you know, they're not taking action because most people don't even bother to vote, right? That's a fact. So if the government's the problem, we already got the tools to fix it in 2 seconds flat. Actually, what they need to do, you know, they need to get the National Security Agency investigating this Center for Biological Diversity for un-American activities that are unconstitutional. And if they're trying to kill people by, you know, genocide and all this kind of crap under the guise of biological diversity, maybe they should be, you know, put on trial for, you know, attempted genocide. And if they're found guilty, hey, no problem. They'll be done, right? That's a good way of looking at things. So people got the power to take back the government anytime they want. They get up their dead ass. But anyway, just want to put this story out here. The last lead smelter in the United States, it's been in business for 120 years, that supplies a lot of the lead to the bullets and stuff. They're going out of business basically for a while until somebody comes up with something that's pollution free. You got to have pollution free lead because, you know, you don't want to pollute when you shoot an animal or a person in self-defense, right?